Hello everyone. Welcome back. It's time for America's Tier 2 racing action. My name is Stryfium. Of course, round 2 for the division, and we saw Bahrain last week. Well, what a race it was, a very clean race. And now we're here for the second round in the Netherlands, Zandvoort. We saw one race earlier today for those of you that may have joined us from the North American side of things for the course, Tier 4 action. We saw 4 safety cars. It was quite the dynamic race. It was a very thrilling race at that, and joining me for that was Unicorn in the commentary booth. This evening I am solo, and well, that is going to be a very fun time. 14 turns of intensity here. Of course, Zandvoort, an iconic circuit in Formula 1 over the years. Well, we haven't quite seen its return yet, whereas we will in a few weeks' time. Now, with that said, in a few weeks' time, we're going to be going to a few different circuits ourselves. However, on the menu will be Belgium in round 4, which is where we'll be going for the official Formula 1 World Championship this weekend. However, next week, we'll be going to Russia before that action. Now, for round 5, it will be Italy. Following that, Japan, Britain, Azerbaijan, Hungary, Singapore, as well as France, Spain, Austria, Mexico, and Brazil to round out the 15 rounds of action here for Season 5. And with that, let's take a look at the standings for this grid today as we look to go racing here for some more great points. Godified Rat, he took the race win for Alfa Romeo last week in a 1-2 finish for the squad. Well, it was a number of 1-2 finishes for many squads, or multiple podium finishes, we'll say. 1-3s, 1-2s, things like this, 2-3s for many teams. But Godified Rat and Dig Surf there, 1 and 2. 25 points and 18 points respectively, putting Alfa Romeo at the top of this Constructors' Championship by quite a margin. Jimsy there, third position, and his squad McLaren, they're third. We have Red Bull there, they're slotting themselves in. Vlad and Sidewinder with some good points here so far in second. So quite a good haul of points from a lot of the drivers on this grid. And we have, well, through down, Vlad, Sidewinder, Captain Minor, Thrills, Paula, and Graz all securing points last week to round out the top 10 drivers with points in this campaign. And I'm really excited to see how we go racing in the Netherlands today. Following that Tier 4 race, it was a very, very intense campaign, and I imagine this race this evening will be no different. Making Ghazi aware that we are ready to go, and he will let the grid know once they are ready that we can ready up and get ourselves into 18 minutes of qualifying action as well. One thing I really found wild was, if you didn't catch that Tier 4 race earlier today, we had a race to the finish between, it was an amazing race to the finish between Grenade Garan in the Haas and Disaster in the Alfa Romeo. And as it stands provisionally, Disaster is holding on to that win. Grenade and him contesting, potentially, given the timing tower. There might have been some desync there. We're looking at it. I think the Stewards on top of all of that. And just waiting on a driver I do believe will be ready to go racing in a moment. But it was an amazing campaign for the Tier 4 race, and this Tier 2 grid has a large shoe to fill, if you will, to try and meet that expectation for such a great race, and it was a really great race. Of course, talking a little bit about last week's action briefly before we get into the lobby here, and we are readying up, which is fantastic to see. We had a wild week of racing last week in Bahrain. We had the Champions Division make the debut, but we'll take you through it. It was fantastic as Polypunk secured one of those double podiums I mentioned earlier with his teammate in Tier 4. He took a win, and that was one win of the week for them in the Scuderia Ferrari squad. Godified Rat, again, I mentioned it earlier, he took a really good finish here last week, and now we're loading into session, which is great to see. These drivers are going to get their setups dialed in. Godified Rat took a great win in this division last week. He will not be present this evening, however, as he has unfortunately had an issue with his wheelbase, but I guess 25 points is a great way to start your season. Gives you a little bit of a buffer. With that, Tier 3 in the European side of things, Crampy took a win for Williams, so it was the third constructor in as many races. to take a win. And then following that, we saw Tier 1 Americas with Angel Cordova up on top in the Red Bull. Tier 2 on the European side, it had Titan in the McLaren take a win. And so it was 5 different constructors wins in 5 different races. Following that, the streak broke Brain Stew in the Tier 1 to 0, and here it is, the rains. This is something I wanted to mention. We get rain dynamics in the Netherlands, and well, the rain is here, and I am beyond excited for this. Now, I wonder how many of these drivers actually took an opportunity to do wet running in their practice. I am going to wager not too many of them. Really quick before we get into this evening's action, just to finish up, it was Brain Stew again in that Tier 1 division, in that Tier 1 drive with a fantastic win. He actually had to do it twice, essentially, because we had to do a reschedule and a red flag of one of those races. That was 2 wins for Alfa Romeo on the week. And then we had Tomic in the Champions Division with a very nice win for McLaren. And that was the second week for McLaren. The second win of the week for McLaren. Now, Turtle Rave in the Haas. He is heading out in, of course, the wet conditions. And I personally, well, I'm very excited to see this. Let us know in the chat if you're excited to see rain. Intermediate conditions, it would seem, as everyone with the green rim tires. Wet to dry race according to Ghazi in the chat, and well, that is going to give us quite the spectacle this evening. Tell your friends, shout it from the rooftops, as I say, open the window and stick your head out and yell at your friend down the street, hey neighbor, we got MRL racing on this evening, because things are about to get real slick in this qualifying session. And I love rain. If you guys have had any opportunity to watch any of the MRL broadcasts previously, rain is something that I personally love to broadcast, because it really does bring some equalization to the drivers, you know, skill. Turtle Rave now bringing us through turn 1. We saw quite a few issues through turn 1 today. I just want to note, in Tier 4, drivers on that inside, kind of touching that inside curb, a little slick as we come out of turn 3 here. Ooh, you don't want to get too slippy through over there. And this is where things are really going to be a tempt of fate for these drivers coming down the hill. Boy, oh boy. This car hanging on for dear life. And another thing to note, when you come into a setup like this, when you have a weather dynamic on the horizon, we've been told it's going to be a wet race to dry, possibly. What setup do you take? And I remember talking to Alex Vito about this in previous commentaries seasons past, about how it's really about where you feel most comfortable and where you feel the race is going to finish. He said, you know, what's the longer stint going to be? Are you going to be on the wet longer? Are you going to be on the dry longer in the race? Do you have an idea of what is going to occur? That's where you want to cater your setup. So these drivers might have had to do a bit of a tweak, especially... Oh, and this is what we saw today as well. That is not what these drivers want to do in qualifying. What a shunt to the confidence there for the Turtle Rave. He is going to come into the pit lane after that. That is not something you want to see in any case at all. That is tough luck for the Haas squad. Big time, and it would appear there's another driver that has just done the same thing. It is a debris field coming out of the final banking. Jack 5 is looking, and I'm not entirely sure what he's doing right now. He's just maybe checking on drivers. Oh, and look behind him. Drivers are really struggling in these wet conditions as Johnny Disco comes through with the first lap of the evening. But man, oh man, did he set it in style. That rear end, I swear it did a massive snap into that wall of the final banking. What struggles we're finding with this Tier 2 grid already. Other drivers right now on flyers. Henner's currently on a purple sector 2. As we have the next fastest lap coming through. It was Graz, a 19.5 in the Ferrari. Gauzy Eggs here with a 20.4. He was the second runner through in the Haas, and now it's going to be Henner's through the final banking. Does he struggle as the rest did? Cattle King Just ahead of him there comes through 19.7 Henners and 18.5 out of the Englishman in the Williams this evening. Very nice run from him. Many other drivers coming through. Spanini, Dangwoo, the Alpines are through 4 and 5, 20.2, 20.363 respectively. A little bit of a snap coming through that final curb into the final banking, and well, notably here, DRS is enabled for these drivers, which is usually an indicator that the session, if I can find my words, is drying up, or is at the very least dry enough for these drivers to get maybe onto a different set of tires. There's a lot of drivers on the outlap on these intermediates still. We could very well see the rain stop and potentially see this qualifying session jump into dry conditions and maybe ramp up for these racers. Duffeld coming through now in the Mercedes to the line. It's good for second. He's not far off of Henry right now. 2/10 the gap between the Aston Martin and Henry in that Williams on provisional pole as things stand. And of course, thank you to everybody coming through into the stream this evening. Really appreciate you joining us for the America's Tier 2 action. Oh, Duffeld. No, sir. That is not what you want to be doing. Again, that is a jolt to the confidence coming through. This is a 36-lap race. 36 laps. We're told that we're going to see a dynamic of weather here. Rain and then dry condition. Oh, now Turtle Rave, he looks as though he's on a flyer. A little bit of traffic there. Wordad struggling. And Wordad currently fourth on this timing tower. Turtle Rave there. There's another snap coming out of the Haas, and he could be preparing for a dry run. But everybody right now is going to have struggles, and there's some gravel as well for the Haas driver. Now Jack 5, he's coming through not too far behind the Haas. That Jimsy, no, that was, excuse me, Johnny Disco on an outlap just over by Turtle Rave there, and someone else just crossed the line. I believe that was Polo Q. He went 6th quickest there in 19.515. Big snap, and man, we are really catching a lot of action today, aren't we? That is not good at all for the AlphaTauri driver. It seems when we pick a camera, we instigate some kind of 360 action for the driver. Jack 5 goes P5 as Deng Wu pushes him back into 6th, coming right behind him in the Alpine. It's now 6th for him. Who crossed there? Larkin. Now behind him, Dig Surf pushes him, and there is a lot of separation. Well, not a lot of separation, but look at the gap right now from first all the way down to 13th. Even with the wet running, we have less than a second, or a second if you want to get technical. That is the gap in this grid, and we saw it last week. We've seen it earlier with Tier 4. We saw it all week long, and I think things are going to start drying up if the sky is looking a little brighter to me. Jimsy coming through in 18.4. I think things are getting quicker here, and I think we might see dry tires soon. But as I was saying, it's really, really wild how tight all of these grids have been through Tier 4 all the way in Bahrain to Champions Grid last week, and then Tier 4, and then again today with this America's Tier 2 division. It's really great to see. Love to see it. Johnny Disco, 4th position for him. Provisionally an 18.782. Do we see the dries? I wonder. Looking like everyone's still a little bit slippy on track here. Still a good amount of water. The rain's still coming down. I don't know. The sky's brightening, but the rain's still coming. A lot of fun seeing these races, though. Of course, solo casting, not something I'm actually unfamiliar with. It's how I started doing commentaries. It's how I enjoyed them, and I'm all honest. I don't normally shut up, but when there's another guy there, I try to shut up. So it does work. If I do shut up, I'm probably taking a drink. You know, if there's a moment of silence, you know, I should probably do that. I think I'm in charge of the driver of the day poll this evening, so at some point I'll have to type out the 20 names of the drivers with us this evening. Henry right now, 18.578. He's looking for an improvement, but as he comes through sector 2 and 3, he's not looking like he's going to find it unless he left himself a nice chunk of cash, a nice banker in this third sector. And it looks like he might have dropped it to go again. I don't know if he ramped it out too late there. He is going to be running through the line again. Graz right now. He is the number 51 Ferrari on circuit coming through sector 2, and he is pushing. We'll see what he is able to do, as it's an 18.771, the improvement he's looking for. And I actually might be incorrect here. He might not be pushing. I could be wrong. He might have just set that 18.771. Jack on the soft compound tires right now. He's on that outlap. We're going to jump on with him in a second. Actually, Graz purple through this sector, but he might just be coming in for dries because he's purple among the cars on track. That does not necessarily mean he is the quickest car. What's he going to opt to do? He's going to come through to the line. What's it going to be for the Ferrari? I could be entirely wrong. It's good for second position. He grabs a couple of tenths here into the front row. Nicely done. Let's move on over to Jack 5. He's in the Aston Martin. He is ramping up a lap, and it's still raining just a bit, a little bit of a light drizzle. Some English weather here in Belgium, perhaps. Not Belgium, excuse me. I'm going to get shot for that one. The Netherlands. But we'll see what Jack 5 could do. I was thinking about this weekend's championship. Leave me alone. It's the Netherlands. It's Waffles looking at me real hard now. Okay, Jack 5 coming through into sector 2 now. He is finding a loss of traction. He's gone into the gravel trap. He was improving, surely, but there just wasn't enough dry circuit for him there. He needs to be careful here, because he's just kicking dirt all over the place. These softs are toast. Absolutely toast. And while Jack has just given all of these drivers a clear indication of the track conditions, big time. Absolutely. Leaks coming through, saying potentially touch the grass. Very, very possible. Very possible. Could be a very tricky section of circuit here. Right now, Polo Q coming through, and he's looking for some improvement, and he's found some improvement through sector 2. Let's see what he can do now as he comes through the iconic final banking here of Zandvoort. Good improvement there, 19.074, 11th position for him. Jack straight back in, of course, nothing doing there. Not a single runner yet on the softs except Johnny Disco. He's on the nearest outlap. Turtle Rave now on an outlap with the softs. A few drivers opting to select them in the pit lane. Nobody heading out just yet with them except for these two racers. And it's going to be Johnny Disco, the first of the pair, to get a lap through. Brills, Dang Wu, we have them on outlaps, as well as Jimsy. They're all on, if I'm not mistaken. They have all opted to come out on outlaps with those intermediate compound tires. So they're not thinking that we're going to see soft runs here. Johnny Disco taking a gamble. Trying to find some temperature. You can see a little bit of a weave as we come into turn 12. That will be crucial here as he begins his lap, of course. A lot of these drivers do what they can to prepare, and as we see it now, he is ramping up. And here we go. This car more than likely going to be looking very loose through the entirety of this lap. We'll just have to see what kind of time he can find and what kind of exits and traction he will be able to get here. Now, Thinking back to Jack 5. He was coming up and over the hill here where we saw him lose that traction. Leak said it was grass. I don't know if it was the water up here. We're about to find out how loose you can get. Things looking pretty good for Disco as he has that purple Sector 1. Neat and tidy thus far. Rain appears to have subsided entirely now. Things drying up quick here as there is a lot of action on track throughout this 18-minute session. It is quite compact. A very short lap around here in 3.6 seconds. Nearly 3.7 seconds the improvement found just through the first 2 sectors of this lap, ladies and gentlemen. Truly, this will be pole position now for the McLaren. It will be a trade-off between the McLarens. Tight to the inside, to the line. There goes Disco. It's a 13.543. Original pole position. Next up would be the Turtle Rave. However, did he retire in the pit lane or did he crash? Because last I had seen, he was on an outlap with those soft compound tires. Captain Minor. Jack 5 flying on softs. A majority of the grid now on outlaps with the soft compound tire. Cattle King doing a little bit of medium selection there in the pit lane. You can see it on the timing tower. Oh, that's greatly. Very much. Thank you, Mr. XTXP. Captain Minor. 111, 112, 113, 113.9. 5.589 seconds the improvement. Good for the front row as things stand. Jack 5 now will be next across. What will the Aston Martin get done? Let's take a look. Jack 5, 13.250. That's good for the front row, but nobody's touching Johnny Disco just yet. Graz, he's just coming through the final 2 turns, and there's going to be a few drivers coming through into the front end. Sidewinder 303, a 12.296. Jumps in front of Jack, and who's that? Paula. 12.286 from the Alpha Tauri. Gauzieg a 12.777. Graz says 11.742 is the new bar. Duffeld says 11.8 is the front row now. Very nice stuff coming out of this grid right now, I have to say. Things ramping up rapidly, and there's a 10.7. A near second over the Ferrari. That's provisional pole from Larkin in the Mercedes. Who can take care of that? What a run. What a run. It would appear he got the best of this grid. My oh my. Does anybody have anything to say about this? Jimsy, the McLaren, he's coming through now. Jack 5, he's coming to the line. Jack 5 to the line. Good for pole. A 10.733 now. Jimsy, the McLaren, tight to the inside. 10.5. Oh, it's a 10.5. What a run. Does anybody outdo the McLaren? Can anybody say something about this? Gauzieg, 5th position, is where things will land. Henners, a 10 flat. The Williams. Last moment. What a shot for pole. He gets it in there. The Englishman going to be thrilled about that. We have ourselves a qualifying. We have ourselves a race, ladies and gentlemen. Who do you have for the race win? My oh my. Henners, Jimsy, Jack 5 are your top 3 here this evening. And that is just something to see. Wild, wild stuff. You've got a Williams, McLaren, Aston Martin top 3 in the qualifying session of this America's Tier 2 division. Wow. Isn't that something? That is just something. There's AI has a serious turbo in it. This car is getting some serious pace throwing down on circuit here. Alrighty. Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I just need to get my good old pen here and get this written down old school as Henners comes through. A 10.091 in the Williams, the Englishman. Ahead of 3 Americans, it's Jimsy and Jack 5 rounding out our top 3 here this evening. Lovely, lovely stuff. 18 minutes of qualifying done and dusted as it went wet to dry. Look at this grid. We're going to go down through it in the qualifying, or excuse me, the formation lap ahead of the race, of course. I wonder who my dark horse will be. Cattle King, he did that run 11.698 on the mediums, notably. I wonder what kind of pace we're going to see from him at this race start. He can have free tire choice. There we have. Oof. You see full wets. I'm trying to get a peek in the garage there. I think it is going to be intermediates. And I think it's going to be a very, very good amount of rain on these intermediates as well. And I think we've just had an issue with Jim. Hopefully we can get him back in. I don't have... We can get an invite to Jim while we're here. From Mr. Gauzieg. I think everyone has backup invites. Not, let me know in the chat and I will get myself in action with an invite. Jim. Let me know who you're rooting for in the chat. I'll be taking a look at your predictions, and I've got some predictions of my own, of course. And we'll take a look at this grid. We'll take a look at, well, where everyone stands. Everyone more than likely going to be on these inners. I've seen it in the past, though, where we've had some wet starters. Some drivers like that confidence, but it is not necessarily the best if the entirety of the field is on the inners, and it does look like that is the case. Intermediates for the entirety. Big wheel spin coming off the grid there for Henner. It's just a huge burnout for him. I thought I heard the squeal there. Now, predictions coming through in the chat. Prediction about number of cars finishing the race from XP, and I don't think that's a far off prediction idea. I think that's quite the, that is quite funny. But of course, I'll take you through our grid this evening. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Stryfium. Joining you here from the Great White North, it is Canada. And we're commentating a race with a variety of drivers from around the world, I have to say. In our America's Tier 2 division, it's round 2 for the MRL Season 5 racing. Starting on pole position for us this evening, we have the Englishman. It is Henners, a longtime racer here in the Misfits Racing League, coming from the European side of things to drive today. And he will take pole with Jimsy lining up on the front row next to him in the McLaren. We have Jack 5 in the Aston Martin rounding out our top 3. With Larkin in the Mercedes, it's Duffeld in the other Aston Martin. Sidewinder, 303 in the Red Bull. It's Gauzieg in the Haas, my fellow countryman. And we have quite a few Canadians in the Misfits Racing League, and I'm happy to, of course, see that. Of course, we have Paula, Thrills, Polo Q in the AlphaTauri with Paula as well, rounding out the 10 drivers who started, we're all starting on inners, but of course, who got themselves into that top 10, which I like to highlight because it is potentially the points finishing positions. Cattle King in the Alfa Romeo, we have Graz, Spanini, Johnny Disco, Wordad, Captain Miner, Dig Surf, as well as Dengwu, the Turtle Rave. And rounding out this grid at the back, we have Vlad. And what a wild race it is going to be here as the rain is pouring. In the Netherlands, Zandvoort, a wet surface right now. Henners, Jimsy, Jack 5, Larkin, and Duffeld, our top 5, are going to give us a very good sense of how things go on our way into turn 1. You hear the noises, you hear the engines, you can hear everything getting live here in the Netherlands. It is 4-5 red lights here. There's a jump start coming out of the Turtle Raven. That is bad luck. Who also went, it's Disco. That is not what you want to be doing at the start of a race like this. Someone blinked, and the other one actually flinched, and that's not what you want to do here at all. Very shaky starts here. Jack 5, Jimsy wheel-to-wheel through turn 2 now. Henner's breaking away very well. So much shuffling for position as everyone tries to find their legs in these wet conditions. Duffeld, Sidewinder, getting loose out of turn 3 and 4 now. We've had a big issue for Wordad. Wordad has fallen all the way to the rear of this grid. He's looking sidewards now. Jack 5 ahead of Jimsy. That's a good position change for the pair of them as Larkin holds himself in 4th still. We're going to see some timing tower shuffling in a moment. But this has been a very, very wild race start already. The rain, it's not super heavy as I've seen in the Netherlands before, but it is definitely enough, I'd say, for the intermediate compound tires right now. The surface, at the very least for myself, looks like ice. And that's not something you want to be driving on even remotely. Johnny Disco tight to the rear of Thrills. Who's that? Graz exposed now. Dig Surf looking around the outside. Not a lot of traction right now on this track until we really kind of get flowing here. These drivers, they're going to find their legs soon. They're going to get a little bit more confidence. But Henner's, he's finding all the confidence he needs right now in lead of things as Jimsy. Well, what's happened to him? Well, excuse me, it's just the timing tower at play, but someone's gone into the pit lane. That's the other McLaren, and we've had a VSC coming through. No, the Turtle Rave. Their Turtle Rave is out. Wordad has just driven into him. Wordad, I don't know what has gone through his head to have gone and driven into a car on circuit like this. That is a full-blown safety car deployment as a result. What on earth? I'm shocked. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if there was a desync or if there was understeer, if it was the conditions, but I can tell you something for certain, friends and fam. We have ourselves a safety car on our 3rd lap. Unless the timing tower is playing with me. No, I'm pretty sure it's the 3rd lap. Now, one thing we saw in Tier 4 action earlier today was all of the drivers caught the safety car. And then at one point, the safety car said, no, we're going to flip green, you can all pass, and we're going to let you catch us again. Johnny, I can see you all speculating in the chat there, might be in a little bit of hot water here with that drive-through penalty. Wordad, of course, he took a 5-second as a result of him driving and making that contact with the Turtle Rave. Just unfortunate luck for the Turtle Rave in his first couple of rounds here in Tier 2 Americas. He's, well, he's not going to be too thrilled with that one. This race start really did not go the way I think a lot of these racers had intended. You think about it, it looked like Johnny Disco might have drumped the start. Maybe the Turtle Rave, he flinched when he saw it, you know, and that's something that you see a lot is if you see someone go, you're going. You want to go and get them as quickly as you can. And now we've got Henner's in the Williams. He started this race on pole. He's still leading things, fortunately, and he is now behind the safety car and getting into formation. Take a look at the position changes right now. You've got Jack 5 and Jimsy. They've traded places. Sidewinder and Duffeld, they're in the same situation. Henner's nicely in where he began, and Larkin just the same in 4th. You have Polo Q. He's advanced 3 slots. You've got Gaziag and Paula. They've each dropped a spot. Cattle King, he's up 1. Thrills is the one driver that did drop 2 there. And then you have Graz. He's holding station in 12th. Big Surf, he's up 4 positions from where he began things, which is a nice thing to find, of course, for the Alfa Romeo. Having a little bit of an issue there. Captain Miner, he's up 2 slots. Vlad, he's made up 5 positions. He's actually the driver that has gained the most in this campaign here thus far. Spinini down 3. Dangwoo's made up a slot. And Johnny Disco and Wordad, well, they've both lost 4. It's not a good position to find yourself in. You've got Johnny Disco with that drive-through. He cannot serve that until we go green here. It's crucial that he waits for a green flag before he enters that pit lane, or he is going to get into some hot water. And I do believe he is going to have to do that as soon as this safety car comes in, which is going to give Wordad a position. you know, well, he's going to get a position no matter what because of that drive-through, but Word Ads are just going to breeze by Johnny Disco on this restart. Who's that there? I think that was a Polo Q or Sidewinder. Somebody went quite wide there through 2, or through turn 3. And these conditions, something that the safety car did, at the very least in dynamic weather for the 2020 F1 release, and I have to confess, I haven't seen that much wet running yet in the 2021 release. Something that did happen occasionally is the safety car would change the weather dynamics, of course, because it would prolong the race. So we might see more dry running than these drivers anticipated. We'll have to see. You can see things just off in the distance potentially lightening up. We're only on lap 4 out of 36. It's quite a long campaign here, albeit a short lap. It is a very long distance race with 36 laps being the duration. Safety car coming in. All right, Henners now in lead of things as the lights are off on that red safety car. Henners will pace things nice and consistently for these racers as he brings himself into that final turn and slams down on the throttle. He wants to give himself the best opportunity to get away from Jack 5, but he needs to do things safely so as to not cause a major disruption in this grid. You can just see the massive train that is following him right now, and it's crucial that things are done carefully here. And one thing to note is it's very tricky, especially coming through these wet conditions. You can find the tire temperatures dropping rapidly. You can see now, unfortunately, Cattle King has just taken a 5 or 4 high. Severe collision with Paula Henners has hit the throttle down. Jimsy on the rear of Jack 5, and this is what you want to see. You want to see quick reaction times. Jack 5 wasn't there with his. Jimsy, however, had him in his sights firmly. Duffeld and Polo Q, they're wheel to wheel. It's Polo Q and the Alpha Tauri on the inside of turn 1. He's just mugged the Aston Martin. What a move there. A little bit more shuffling in the rear of this grid. Dig Surf on the rear of both Ferraris, looking for an inside gap. Not a lot there. Captain Minor just tight to the rear on the outside. Deng Wu on the rear of Vlad. Vlad is making through this grid quite well right now. We saw it. He's up a good chunk of positions. Dig Surf, he's made it through one Ferrari. Let's push back through to Larkin, who's in 4th position, hunting down Jimsy and Jack 5. Look at the gap between Jack 5 and Henners here. It is just dancing in and around 1 second, which is not good if you are that Aston Martin. If DRS, for whatever reason, should come online in 2 laps, you are going to be in trouble. Larkin hunting down Jimsy. This is what you want to see, tight fighting. Paula, wheel to wheel with Cattle King. Cattle King on the outside as we come into 12 here. It's going to be the inside back through. Paula, Cattle King, both with penalties right now. 5 seconds due to the collision potentially under safety car conditions. Dig Surf. The rain's still coming down here. These intermediates still the tire to be on. Hunting down Graz. He took 1 Ferrari this lap. He wants to get both. Graz sitting on the rear of Paula. Does he have a look? He's looking to the inside. Is there a lunge? Ooh, it's tight. Captain Minor inside on Vlad as we come through turn 1 as well. The Red Bull defending with what he can. There's a snap. He's off the line there. He had his left side off on the grass and gravel, and you can just see not a lot of traction to find when you're there. Dig Surf now. He comes out of turn 2. What a lovely exit here. He's taken now the 2nd Ferrari. He is hunting him down. Very, very wild racing right now, and just tons of action to see on a race restart like the Netherlands. Big Surf there now on the rear of Paula, quite tight 3/10 now. I think Paula is going to come under fire in a few moments' time. Vlad on the rear of Captain Minor for 14th position. Deng Wu not too far behind with his teammate Spanini within 2/10. Tight racing is what you really, really like. And when it's in the rain, it just makes it all the more special to me at the very least. I don't know how you all feel in the chat. Duffeld. Well, that's an interesting call there. I wonder, Sidewinder, another set of intermediate compound tires here. I wonder if he had damage. All right, let's see. The Alfa Romeo now hunting down Paula. Less than 2/10 the gap separating them. Oh, look at this little fight that's brewing for the 5th position on circuit right now. Duffeld and Polo Q. It's quite tight as we came into turn 12. This entire grid really in a train from Polo Q all the way down to Wordad. You have a little bit of separation amongst the top 4. Jimsy and Larkin are the closest of these racers in the top 4. Jack 5, 1.8, and continuing to grow that gap on the rear of Henners. Henners really doing well this evening. Johnny Disco, a very nice lap there as it's a 20.070. Captain Minor and Vlad have an exchange as Vlad looking to push through and find these Ferraris 12 and 11. Thrills and Graz. Dig Surf now on the rear of Paula. Still, it has not been an easy opportunity or an easy move for the Alfa Romeo to move up on the other Alfa, the AlphaTauri. Of course, Paula right now caught between both Cattle King and Dig Surf, the pair driving for the Sauber Alfa Romeo team. Duffeld on the rear of Polo Q has Gazieg sitting there, and Gazieg finding himself in a solid position within half a second of this action. Duffeld really wanting to push and maybe capture that position. We'll see what opportunities lie as we come through out of the final banking. I think this is a crucial overtake for Duffeld here. He needs to use that battery. He has a ton of it at his disposal, whereas Polo Q, not as much. He is using it, however, to defend. Paula, the Alfa Romeo now around the outside. What a move here. Is there enough traction for him? Yes. Dig Surf getting it through. And now Paula dropping to 10th position. Meanwhile, just behind, Vlad has dispatched one of the Ferraris. Moving into 12th position, Graz is next on his list. If that's how it sounds on the broadcast, then I'm just gonna roll with it, because I think that well, that's interesting. That's not what I'm going for, but if that's how it sounds, then well, not much I can do about that. Unless someone wants to give me the appropriate pronunciation for my good man in 9th position here. Dangwu, Captain Minor, what an exchange we're seeing between these two. Spanini on the rear as well. We've seen these two Alpines running tandem all night. Oh no! Vlad in the Red Bull! The Ferraris caught him! That is the Mercedes! Captain Minor, how did he avoid it? I cannot believe what we just watched there. Oh my. Safety car has been deployed shortly here on lap 10. And my oh my, that was a horrid crash. Absolutely. Very interesting to see what the heck happened there. Later, I'm sure there's going to be some reporting on that incident, but Captain Minor, interestingly enough, dropped a number of positions here. And I don't know if there was some kind of illegal overtake or what that situation was. Fortunately, no visible damage on board that Mercedes, but that was quite the horrid crash, I have to say. That was, yeah, Ouch. Alright, so we are now down to 18 drivers on the 10th lap of contention. About to be lap 11. Henners has led things from the race start. Is it raining? No. I do not believe it's raining any longer. So this is a very unique scenario, as it is looking like it is just straight up drying out. Everyone waiting as long as they possibly can, maybe waiting for the race leader, I don't know, to come in, switch on over to these slicks. I mean, Henners really is the first domino. The entirety of this grid is stacked up. Vlad and Sidewinder, I mean, what is the call here? Vlad and Sidewinder, I think these guys in the Red Bulls are... Well, Vlad maybe more so than Sidewinder are in an alright position if they can catch a couple of positions. Very fascinating here. What the heck has happened now? We're staring at an AlphaTauri looking at us. That is very interesting indeed. I don't know what happened under safety car that could result in that kind of issue, but now there's some penalties that have been thrown out. Look at the penalties on board right now. 5 for Duffeld, 5 for Gauzier, 10 seconds now. The penalty amount with the Alfa Romeo of Cattle King Paula has fortunately accumulated 5 as well, with Wordad Polo Q in the same club. And Vlad with this drive-through penalty, that is horrid. To be in that Red Bull with a drive-through penalty. He'll have to wait until things go green. Cattle King coming in now. What a race. You know, I said at the beginning, and I said it in Tier 4, I said Tier 4, it's going to be an explosive race. The Netherlands always presents very, very dynamic situations. This Tier 4 grid earlier today, it hit the nail on the head. I said it before this race. Here we are once again. This is our second now safety car of the evening. We're on the 12th lap. We're just a third of the race through now. Well, Vlad, 15th position. He'll have that drive-through penalty, but Sidewinder, he's going to catch the entirety of this grid under the safety car conditions with the best tires and net himself. Well, where did he start? He started... He's dropped a number of positions, of course. He's dropped 12 positions, but if this should happen and we see a ton of these drivers, and there's going to be drivers here, Duffeld, Gauzier, Paula, they all have penalties to serve. Cattle King came in, he served 5 seconds. And the safety car is staying out. So there is an opportunity. There is an opportunity to get the heck off these inners, and I think that needs to be the call. I think it most definitely needs to be the call. Henry, he will be the first. If we see it, he will be the first, and it's a very tricky situation. He's staying out. Jack, oh man. Oh man, this restart is gonna be something. Yo, Boltzmann, are you in the Red Bull this evening? I'm gonna tell you what's about to go down here, and we saw it last season potentially in Hungary. Boltzmann, and he's in the chat tonight. Shout out to you, Boltzmann, and you can go check it out on YouTube. Shout out to the YouTube. But Boltzmann charged through a sea of intermediate runners on soft compound tires to win a race, okay? He was not going to get points in the race that we were referring to. He came through a field in the final few laps from out of the points to win a race on dry compound tires, and I think we're going to see Vlad fly through the sea of green ahead of him very quickly here. Now, Vlad, Sidewinder. Okay. So Vlad has a drive-through penalty, and Sidewinder was my guy. Okay, Sidewinder was my guy. I said to myself, Sidewinder is on these. He's on these mediums. He's gonna fly. What the heck is going on here, ladies and gentlemen? What are we seeing here? And now, well, I'll tell you, Dieg Surf, however we appropriately pronounce that. I hope I'm getting it close. It's just taken 5 seconds. Henry now, he's leading this grid back. Jimsy ever eager on the rear of Jack 5 as he was the last time, of course. Oh, Graz and Paula, what's happened back here? There's a little bit of action. Spinini maybe wanting to charge into the pit lane. No, I don't know, but Henry's is gone. Jimsy's right there with Jack 5. It's wheel to wheel as we come into turn 1. Jimsy around the outside of the Aston Martin. Larkin has his toe in. Just a touch. No, he doesn't now. Jimsy around the outside. Larkin has a beautiful view of this action as there's a 5-second thrown down to Gazieg to just cause him further trouble as he was ignoring a yellow. And now Captain Miner, Cattle King, Wordad, Polo Q, there's some exchanging back there. Larkin not quite able to get what he wanted done on the rear of Jack 5 and Jimsy, but Jimsy has done what he needed to do, and he has dispatched the Aston Martin. These intermediates have not a lot of grip right now. Of course, things gone dry. These tires are going to be really bad for everybody on them. And Vlad, well, he's got that drive-through penalty. Look at the amount of time. This is going to be a very important gap to look at. It's 11.1 seconds. It's growing a bit as he comes through this intricate second sector. Wheel to wheel, Jack 5, Larkin. Excuse me. Larkin etching ahead into third. Back in for Jack 5. Very tight racing there between these two. Larkin's been sniffing that third position all night. No money coming in yet. There isn't any need for the... Is everybody just going to stick it out for the position now? Nobody's going to blink and undercut anything? Nothing? Vlad not able to do much right now on the rear of this grid given his tires, I suppose. 6th position now for the Alfa Romeo. We look at the penalty situation, a number of black and white flags here on the side of the timing tower. Look at all of the 5-second penalties that we accumulated through safety car conditions. What's happened here? That is an Alpine off. No damage visible on the front end. Cattle King, Polo Q tight to the rear of Dengwu. Everybody is just so tight right now in this train, and nobody really has the, I want to say the fighting grip is how I'm going to go and say this, but they're having to take these risks no matter what. Everybody's in the same situation. Captain Miner, he's on fresh intermediates. But he's actually in a pretty decent position to kind of cut through if they're the tire to be on. Cattle King, not good. Alfa Romeo having another issue. Wordad Sidewinder exchange through 12, 14th position now for Wordad in the Williams. Who's tightest here? Who's going to go for position? Larkin is first into the pit lane, but he's taken 5 seconds for his troubles, and he is onto the mediums. He's going to drop out behind the entirety of the field. Feld and the Alfa Romeo in a nice duel now for 4th position, as there's a little bit of separation forming amongst the top 5 with the exception of this battle. You can see Jimsy 1.4 on the rear of Henners. Jack 5 nearing a second on the gap between him and the McLaren as well. Duffeld, the other Aston Martin, well, he could potentially be the anchor for the Aston Martin squad here and protect Jack 5 if Dieg Surf has the pace. Gazieg has Paula sniffing up his gearbox right now. Gazieg under threat. The number 48 car is going to be looking very closely at the rear end of this Haas for some time. If I'm certain, it's going to be an overtake very, very soon here. Johnny Disco tight to the rear of Graz. Does he come into the pit lane there? Yes, he does. Bit of a pit entry cut there, if I'm not mistaken, on the way into the pit lane, and now DRS has been enabled, and I think anyone that's come in for mediums, and our race leader has been one of those drivers to do so, is going to be thrilled about it. But you see Jimsy, he's on these inner, oh, he's on the fresh inners, man. That is not, that's not what you want to be doing, I don't think, right now. If you're Duffield, he's showing pace, but excuse me, Jim. Henners? Well, Henners has spun. Okay. That was a... This race... This race is wild. Wild race. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with me this evening. Of course, my name's Striffium here, joining you from Canada. If you're liking things, you know, let me know in the chat. Let me know you're here with me and enjoying the race. Of course, Wordad Sidewinder. It's Wordad shooting into the pit lane now. And look at the field of drivers coming into the pit lane. Jack 5 is now going to be coming through into what I think is going to be a provisional second position. Or potentially, no, it is not a provisional second position. It's a provisional lead of this race, because surely Jimsy is going to be getting off of these intermediates at some point. The gap is going to grow, unless for whatever reason there's no opportunity for this circuit to dry up. Look at the gap. The gap is actually increasing, 2.7 and growing between Jimsy and Jack 5 here. Polo Q with Dangwu. Ooh, looking to the inside now. That's a little bit tighter than I thought it was. And Sidewinder's right here as well. Sidewinder on the inside of Polo Q. And look at the Alpine. The Alpine does not have a lot of grip. That's going to be a position for Sidewinder. And he's looking for Dengwu as well into 12 around the outside. Does he get it? There's a little bit of a shuffle. There's a little bit of contact. Dengwu, no. The Alpine is now looking the other way at cars coming through the turn. And there come the dry running drivers. He's actually just sitting in the circuit now. What a horrible situation to find yourself in as the driver in the Alpine. Gazieg on the rear of Vlad. Look at the penalties coming through on track. This is horrible, horrible, horrible. Sidewinder serving a 5-second penalty in the pit lane. What is the gap now to Jack 5 and Jimsy? 3.1 seconds and growing. Where is the pace coming from for Jimsy on these intermediate compound tires? Oh, what was that? Was that a snap there? I think it was a snap there. Dig Surf, intermediate compound tires, and surely this cannot be the case right now. We have no raindrops coming as my eyes can tell. And I don't know if that's a glitch or some kind of graphical error, but look at the fact that Dig Surf in this Alfa Romeo holding Henners on these intermediate tires, and he is pulling away just marginally, I think, with Graz here. Even though it's dancing around 4.9, I think there is a little bit of separation forming. Johnny Disco Paula, has there been an issue? Not entirely sure. Does not appear that there's any damage on either car. I think, oh, what has happened here? Word at a 5-second penalty, a severe collision with Sidewinder. Henner's now fastest lap of the, okay, mediums are in. If there was any indicator, it's that right there. Henner's is really hunting down Jack 5 right now, and the gap 1.2 for the Alfa Romeo. Captain Minor onto the softs, and this is might be a good strategy call here. We'll have to see. Yeah, you can see all the fastest laps now coming across. Man, what a race this has been. What a race. That wet stint, and I'm sure we can... I feel as though it lasted far longer than expected. We're here on lap 20 now, and it's really only just now that the dries have come in. Hanners and Jack 5. Who is the quicker of the two? Jack 5 just dancing in and around that 1 second range. Hanners is going to have DRS here, DRS enabled. Hanners, you heard it. Just feathering that throttle a bit as he came through the banking, trying to find the grip. You don't want to hammer down without any grip, because we saw it already in the qualifying session. What can happen? You fly out of that final banking into the wall. You're in a state once that happens. Your wings torn to an absolute degree. Well, what was I just saying about that damn banking? Fortunately, it doesn't appear that Paula has any damage. It looks like she might have had things slowed down just enough to really stop herself from getting into that wall. But one thing, and I can see the chat's getting fired up about it as well. Captain Minor. He's on these softs, and he's got some medium runners ahead of him. His softs right now are going to have a ton of life. Graz is under threat. He is under serious threat here. Larkin sitting in the rear of his teammate here. Could be a potential defense for the Mercedes squad this evening as well. Jack 5, 17.183. The fastest run now, and who's this pulled off? Henry, what happened to him? Henry's a big issue. Does he have damage? He might have had an issue coming out of that banking. I didn't see it, of course, but I'll tell you, Captain Minor is now into third position. Larkin is going to be sitting on the rear of Henners. Henners on these mediums, not going to be happy about that, and he's going to be looking to get himself back into second position where the Ferrari Graz finds himself as Gazieg, Johnny Disco exchange. Well, it's Gazieg looking... He's reversing there. He had to stop very quickly before Vlad hit him. What racing. What racing we're seeing here. Henner's still holding with Captain Minor. Great race thus far. Really has been. Wait a minute. What happened there? Captain Minor washing out wide. Henner's on the inside. Gets a little bit of contact there, and Duffeld on the rear of Larkin. You can hear the wheels rubbing. A little bit of grinding, rubbing together there as you come through 12. Tight, 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 and Larkin holding fifth, but Duffeld has made his presence very known. Bit of a snap there. You see it coming out of that final banking. Drivers really getting unsettled. Captain Minor putting down some pressure now on the Ferrari. You can see it here through turn 3. A little bit of traction, I think, more so for Captain Minor right now. What's happened? There's a yellow flag again. Paula really not having a good time. Captain, no, that was Sidewinder. My, oh my. What the heck was that? Holy smokes. That was something to see. That was something to see, man. Duffeld, Larkin, Captain Minor, Graz, the Henners is there. What a train we're seeing for this second position on the rear of the Ferrari. Paula, unfortunately, with that spin. Graz now. Captain Minor on a charge. DRS in his utilization. Henner is tight to the rear of Graz as Captain Minor gets the move done. Graz now looking for a good exit back through on Captain, but Captain has made it through into now second position. The gap to the medium runner ahead, 10 seconds. Henners with Graz on the outside. This is very touch and go. Graz feels his presence there, and they get loose so that there's some wheel-to-wheel action, and Henners breezes by the Ferrari. Larkin, what a view that must have been for the Mercedes. He's looking at the Ferrari now as well. We're on lap 24 out of 36. And we really have not had any shortage of action in this race since we began. Duffeld's had an issue now, washing out wide there. He's lost not one, but two positions. Polo Q and Jimsy in full-blown engagement here for that position as well that Polo Q is holding on to. And Larkin on the inside of Graz as we come through the penultimate turn. There's contact. That's the Mercedes around. The second driver's gone through. Duffeld's done the exact same thing, coming off of the curbing with a reset to track, and he's going to get dinged for that as Henners pushes through on Captain Minor into turn one. Things coming loose here in the final end of this race as we're on the 25th of 36 laps and wow, thank you very much, Sydney Tritt coming through, absolute legend. Thank you so very much for the 5 gifted subs in the stream this evening. Larkin jumping into the pit lane after that unfortunate issue, and he'll be jumping onto fresh softs at that. Jimsy now on the rear of Polo Q still. 5th position now up for grabs for these two as they're on the rear of Graz. And Graz, you can see notably 1.8 seconds is the separation now. He's dropped off of Captain Minor now. Jimsy looking to the inside for Polo Q, and it's not on just yet. This is a serious battle for 5th position. We're realistically 4th position right now, and we've got a great battle unfolding here between Captain and Henners for 2nd. And Henners, very capable driver, as is Captain Minor. We've seen it, and you know who else is a capable driver? Well, it's the Alfa Romeo of Diego Surf. He has gotten that fastest lap, and I have to ask myself, what has caused this virtual safety car? Oh my. The Aston Martin is in a horrid state as Jack 5 comes through Sector 2 with no front wing. I didn't catch that, and certainly he didn't either. No front wing on that car. Sorry, I just had to mute my mic because of Waffleorian in the chat. Greatly appreciate the pickup on that. Jimsy Graz back to green flag racing here. Jimsy and Graz ever loose there. Captain Minor has Polo Q and Jimsy hunting him down now as both drivers got ahead of the Ferrari here. Henners and Jack 5. Well, it's Jack 5, of course, into the pit lane to get his front wing fixed up. Captain Minor, it's all about the race win now for the Mercedes, and that changes things a bit if you're in the cockpit of that car, if you ask me. Ooh, tight. Diego Surf in the rear of Graz now as we come through turn 3. The front wing there. Jimsy's washed out. He's had a snap. Ooh, and that's not good for the McLaren at all. Ferrari under threat as we come down the hill, and he's lost a few positions recently. He could be on for another loss. Currently have a fight for the win under a very, very heated microscope right now as we have Captain Minor within 1 second on the soft compound tires of Henners on the 9-lap-old mediums within that. Look at the exit. Look at the beautiful exit coming out of Henners here. Henners is just sitting in 8th gear. I think Henners is falling asleep. Of course, it's quite late for him in the UK. Captain Minor with a neat move there on the inside. Heavily exposed was Henner's there. This is great if you're Captain Minor right now, pushing ahead of the Williams. A little bit more battery at your disposal to fight now, and it's the Alfa Romeo on the softs hunting down Polo Q for that final podium position. Polo Q not going to be too thrilled having a soft runner sitting in his rearview mirror. Jack 5, he's come out in 9th position. He's still on a fight for points. His teammate Duffeld's had a connection issue. I don't know if we're going to be able to get him back in here. Duffeld needs an invitation. Please let me know. I'll do what I can to get him back in. I don't know if I have him at the very least on my list. Henner's and Captain Minor within 3/10 right now. Henner's still in 2nd position as Duffeld and Jack 5, while Jack 5 getting ahead of that AI-controlled car. Jimsy really heating up now as he's on the rear of Graz. He still wants to get as many points as he can. We saw him with that issue earlier. Oh no, Henners, no. Whoa, 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 whoa. Captain Minor and Henners, it seems they've come together as they've now dropped to 6th and 7th. Where's Jack 5 in all of this? He's actually catching them. At the very least, he's catching Captain Minor, and that is not on there for either the Williams or the Mercedes. Captain Minor, he's actually had an even larger issue here. Not only did he lose out to Jack 5, he's lost out to the AI of Duffeld right now, and that is not good. He's going to have a massive amount of temperature in those tires. He's not going to be able to get going that quick, and now Graz is under threat for, well, what is now the final podium position. Jimsy's looking for 3rd. This has really opened up for the McLarens this evening, I have to say. Look at this, Graz. He has to defend with everything here. We're on the last 7 laps of this race. On lap 30 out of 36, ladies and gentlemen, within 2/10 is the McLaren. As we come down the hill, one of the tightest gaps on track as Larkin hunts down Captain Minor, his teammate. Graz is sitting in the rear Polo Q as well. You can't forget about that AlphaTauri sitting in 2nd position. He is in this fight as well. Mule to wheel, Polo Q, Graz. It's tight. The Ferrari's going to have the outside here. The AlphaTauri really wanting to hold on. Jimsy with the front row seat, and Polo Q does hold it. Very well held there for him. Graz under very, very big threat from the McLaren. Is there enough for Jimsy to take 2 here? He's got the DRS. He might have had a little bit of a slip there. Look at Graz now to the inside of Polo Q. Does he lose 2 positions? It's wheel to wheel through turn 1. Look at this. Graz through on the inside. We saw him drop a number of positions. Polo Q holding on for dear life. Look at this spin. The Ferrari's gone around Jimsy. Jimsy's caught him ever so slightly. Johnny Disco on the inside of his teammate now for the final podium position. Polo Q has somehow, oh my, he's escaped from all of that. And I can't believe it, but we've had a swap between the McLarens. Jimsy struggling there. He's really had an issue as we come into 12. He's in the gravel. He's offline, and he's really, really not going to be happy about what's going on. I don't know if he's got damage, but that is not how you want to see things fall in this race. He was on for a potential podium in the final stages. My, oh my. Sidewinder now on the charge. Captain Minor under threat here. We've seen Captain Minor on these softs. The softs really starting to really betray Captain Minor anyway. Any of these drivers on the softs are really going to have to be worried once they get to this 10 lap range. Of course, we saw Captain Minor with a little bit of an issue there. Jimsy and Graz, what's happened now? Jimsy, he's dropped 2 positions. Jack 5 looking to hunt down Graz. Back to Sidewinder within half a second of Captain Minor. What racing, and man, oh man, I love to see it all. 11.494 now is the fastest lap of the campaign coming out of Jack 5, and Jimsy, what the heck has happened? He's retired the car in the pit lane. Was there damage? I didn't see it. I didn't see the damage. I do not know why this retirement has occurred. Jack 5 now pushing for 5th position. Who'd have thought Jack 5 would be hunting down a position this high up the grid, but man, have things ever come undone for a few of these racers in the final phases. Bullet Q, Johnny Disco. We saw Jimsy fighting for 3rd position earlier. Right now, it's all about Johnny Disco and the other McLaren looking for those 18 points that Polo Q has held on to right now, and he's been holding on to them for some time. Does Johnny Disco have enough here? He's got the DRS. Does he look to the inside? Well, Polo Q wants the inside. Around the outside, says the McLaren. Is there enough here? Very tight for the McLaren. Polo Q on the exit has nothing to say, and Johnny Disco makes it look easy. What a move. Graz, Jack 5. They are in a fight, and of course Jack 5 on those 5-lap old softs, taking that 5th position with what I would call ease. Wordad and Cattle King. Cattle King on the inside of Captain Minor. He's looking. He's exposed. Wordad's looking back for the 12th position. These guys aren't giving it anything. They are not giving anyone any breathing space. They want everything they can get their hands on here on track. Wild, wild action. It's what you love to see. Cattle King still hunting here. Now, there is a link. I'm going to try and post it here. I think I got it. If I don't. If XTXP is still with us and feels like posting it, that would be great. We have a driver of the day poll that will be coming through here in just a moment's time as Larkin hunts down that AI-controlled car of Duffeld, and that's unfortunate to see Duffeld out of the session. There is a poll now. Thank you for that. Everyone wants to share it around. It'd be greatly appreciated as I try to keep on board with all the action here. Cattle King hunting down Captain Minor. A really big lunge here from the Alfa Romeo. Holy, and it's wheel to wheel as Polo Q and Henner's exchange up ahead. It's because Polo Q has had a bit of a slip up, and here comes Jack 5 looking for that 4th position. Oh, well, it's going to be easy, isn't it, for Jack 5? Much better tires for him right now, surely, than Polo Q. And, well, that's 4th position for him. And look at the driver position changes we've seen here. The Alfa Romeo in the lead of this race. Johnny Disco, 2nd position. Henner's 3rd, 17-lap old mediums, Jack 5 and Polo Q. Polo Q coming back through for that 4th. He's not going to let it go just like that. Jack 5 around the outside of turn 1 right now. Polo Q giving him the business. And Jack 5 picking up a bit of some hitchhikers on his left side there. I don't know how many changes of race lead we've had, but we've had a lot. Quite a few. Who was that right there? Off on the side. That was the Williams, no, excuse me, the Alpine of Sponini. Polo Q under threat now. Jake, a big lunge. Very risky move there from the Aston Martin so late in the race with Graz not too far behind. And this battling right now for Jack 5 and Polo Q is not good. And that's just really optimistic. That curb. Uh-oh. You can hear the car coming through, and it just gives my nerves a huge shot. This is an AI-controlled car now. And, well, his AI-controlled teammate has now overtaken him for that optimistic move. And uh-oh. I'm not sure what I'm seeing with that. You'll get there. There we go. Great. Cattle King into 11th position. Cattle King. Oh, wow. Where do you get the cojones for a dive like that? This race has been wild. I love it. Well, it's all been about this man now as we say it. The Alfa Romeo Dig Surf coming through to take the win. Johnny Disco in the McLaren will follow suit in second position, while the Englishman of Henners, well, he led this race for a time, will finish in third position to round out the top three. Polo Q in the AlphaTauri, well, what a campaign to finish. Fourth position, Graz right behind him. Oh, 2/10. What a charge coming out of the Ferrari to the end there, and it was Larkin in sixth. Duffeld, the AI-controlled car, I do not believe is going to be awarded the position. We'll have to review post-race at what point he did drop to AI. And, of course, I think it's a certain percentage he needs to be in control for him to get the win. Or not the win, but the points at the very least. And what a finish. Gazieg, Captain Miner there, 9 and 10 behind Sidewinder. They collect the points as Gazieg actually drops on a penalty. Cattle King comes across and straight up denies the Canadian his point. Ouch. That's going to sting. Gazi drove a good race today. What a race. What a thriller. And we're going to get interviews in about just a moment's time. Wow. Please, ladies and gentlemen, get that driver of the day vote in. It was shared in the chat a few times there. I'm going to have you go and I'm going to share it one more time and I'll get the results of that. And just a great race for everybody. And I have to say, what a campaign dynamic as well. Everyone wants to get their votes in for the driver of the day poll there. Maxim, myself, sharing it in the chat. And wow. What a race for the Tier 2 Americas division. This was round 2 in the Netherlands, the Dutch Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff. What a race. What a race. Henner started on pole. He had so many, he had a few, things thrown at him. He finishes in third. Then you move up, you got Johnny Disco, the McLaren. He started in 14th. He started in 14th position, and correct me if I'm wrong, he had a drive-through in this race at one point. And he finishes second for the McLarens. And what a drive for the Alfa Romeo. 17th position is where Dig Surf started, and he finishes in pole position. And we're about to hear about the pronunciation, hopefully, of this name if we get an interview. If not, well, I'm going to have to get some lessons because the chat's been having an absolute blast, I imagine, with that all night. But man, oh man, this has been a race. And I greatly appreciate everybody tuning in, of course. It's been a solo broadcast for myself. My name's Stryfium here in Canada. If you enjoyed it, you can, well, let me know in the chat and me out in the replay on the MRL YouTube channel later on, as well as the highlights video, where you can find me on any of our MRL races this season commentating. It's quite fun. But that is going to round out the race. Let's jump in and see who we can get ourselves in for some interviews. Well, I'm waiting on Henners. I don't know if he's available to interview this evening. Actually, he went right in there. Straight fire. Alrighty. So, what a finish this race. Alright. Welcoming into the commentary booth, no stranger to it, having commentated previously with me in Tier 2 Season 2 racing. Henners, pole sitter here in the Netherlands, but not the race winner. Talk us through it. It's a P3 finish today. How was it for you? It was a very dynamic race.
It was a dynamic race. I started well. I think a couple of seconds up, and then I managed to. Did you catch the spin on stream? I had no idea.
We caught a little bit. I didn't see the spin from where you were. I don't think I had been on board at that time, so I didn't get to see that, but we had seen you drop position abruptly, and things kind of turned into a bit of a comeback drive for you.
Yeah, I managed to catch it, so I didn't get any damage, so I have to pull back the gap again, and then I had a collision with Captain Maya. I don't know what happened there. I think I just caught him on the rear. So we both spun, and then had to catch up again. Just a catch-up game at that point. So I was happy with the P3, the podium.
Well, it was great speed, of course, to take the pole position as well, and you showed great form through the race, but unfortunately, things happened there that set you back a bit, and P3 in the end, but a great drive overall. So thank you for taking the time to interview, but before we go, next week, round 3, Russia. How are you feeling?
Russia's a difficult one on this game. I'm not a fan of it. It's yeah, it's not the best. We'll see though. Hopefully I can put it back for the top step next week.
Well, Henry, thank you for taking the time to interview, and good luck in Russia for round 3.
Thank you.
All right, next up we are going to have the McLaren. It is going to be Johnny Disco joining us for an interview this evening after a very high-octane drive. Of course, it was a very serious haul of positions to take to get to where you finished P2. Johnny, how are you feeling?
Hello.
Welcome. That was an amazing race. That was quite the drive. Rain to dry conditions, safety cars as well. Why don't you just give us your thoughts on the race? How are you feeling after 36 laps?
My heart's pumping right now. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I had that drive-through penalty off the start because I jumped it, and I was giving up at that point. And then I was like, well, safety cars can come into play, and man.
Well, they certainly did for you.
Yeah, they definitely did.
Were you very confident coming into the Netherlands today, or did the rain kind of really throw it away around, throw a loop at your feet? Was it a really big struggle in the rain, or was it just something was it a dry expectancy?
Yeah, I was expecting dries. I hadn't prepared for the rain at all, so I just slapped on a dry setup, and I saw that it would get dry towards the end of the race, and I was like, all right, dry setup, I could possibly make up ground at the end, and it played off because it went dry pretty quickly.
Well, with that, next week, a very different circuit in, of course, Russia. How are you feeling for that race coming up?
Russia's not one of my best tracks, but I think I'll give it a shot.
Well, good luck in the next round, and we'll join you for that. Hopefully, maybe another interview, and best of luck to you, Johnny, and congratulations on a great race today.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
That was Johnny Disco, everyone. P2 finisher here this evening. And now, finally, our race winner this evening. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. I'd like you to just say your name for us. The chat has been giving me... It's been giving me some grief all night. But what a race. 17th, I think, to first for you. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling?
Oh, man. My heart's still pumping. I can't tell you how it feels. Yeah, I was in a group chat with the Alpha Boys, and they were just saying, don't spin. Everyone will spin ahead of you. And I think, as you saw, everyone spun ahead of me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, extremely wise words there. Also, they gave me an insane setup. So they basically contributed like half of this win. So honestly, it's like Lewis Hamilton thanking everyone back at the factory. It's like, I'd like to thank everyone back at the factory at the Alpha Boys, okay? Because they kind of helped a lot.
Hey, well, that's lovely stuff to hear. Honestly, the team dynamic is what we strive for, and to hear that the guys gave you a setup that brought them a team win today, and you a driver win today, that's great stuff. And what a race it was. Wet conditions to dry. A really dynamic race to take a win in. Just a huge congratulations. So Russia, of course, coming up. I mean, it's a very different circuit. We've had Bahrain now, the Netherlands. Now we come to Russia. It's quite the shuffle of circuits. How are you prepared for Russia next week?
Well, we'll be doing practice sessions, obviously, with the team. And yeah, I mean, looking at the last 2 races, it's gone pretty well.
Well,
yeah, it's gone pretty well.
This is a great consistent drive from you today as well. And of course,
Thank
last but not least, I'd like to ask, how do we pronounce your name?
So my name is basically just Diego, and then there's a surfboard, right? So
Okay.
I just basically mix match the words, right, in a very dumb way, and then it's just Dieg Surf. There you go.
The Egg Surf. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, in
Perfect.
the stream. And well, thank you so much. Do you have any words for the viewers before we head off? You won the race tonight. Of course, the floor is yours. If you have anyone else to thank, we already heard you thank the team. But if you want to shout anyone out, now's the time.
Well, my unofficial name is Dick Surf. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, congratulations on the race win and good luck next week in Russia.
Thank you.
Well, we've got a new nick. I don't know about the nickname, but we have a new nickname for Dieg Surf in the Alfa Romeo this season, I guess, and that is going to round out our amazing Tier 2 Americas race here in the Netherlands. I hope you enjoyed it, of course, and tomorrow we are going to be back for another 2 races. You can join me again, same time, same place, for the Americas Tier 1 division, where it is going to be extremely intense. And of course, at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or 8 p.m. BST, or 9 p.m. for those in Central Europe, we're going to be back tomorrow with the Tier 3 MRL division as well. And I'll be joined with Mr. Alejandro Beto back into the commentary booth, as he was away last week for the debut in Bahrain. So we're going to have a really good time. We have a ton of racing action coming through all week long, and well, thank you everyone for joining me here for America's Tier 2. We're going to see you tomorrow. All right? Ciao for now, everyone. Have a great night.